reflect those of AM 1220 The Word or Salem Media Group.
I am Pastor Ernie Sanders, the voice of the Christian resistance. Stay tuned. My radio broadcast, What's Right, What's Left, is coming up right now.
Independence, Ohio.
Changed our life for the better in many different ways.
Heard around the world every Monday through Friday.
Pastor Sanders is always gets ahead of the rest of the media, telling you exactly what they're covering up.
This is What's Right, What's Left.
I tune in every chance I get to hear exactly what's going on with the voice of the Christian resistance.
Unabashedly cutting through the rhetoric by exposing the hard topics facing our society and world.
A lot of the other news media don't pick up the news items like he does.
And bringing to light the enemies of freedom who are out to steal your rights, your children, and enslaving you.
You really get the truth out. I can tune into your show and hear the unvarnished truth. Thank you.
This is What's Right, What's Left with Pastor Ernie Sanders.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of What's Right, What's Left. I'm Radio Pastor Ernie Sanders, and indeed this is the voice of the Christian resistance now more than ever, as we are in year 7 of the Islamic communist occupation. I'm going to go right to one of the heroes of the faith, Dr. Kent Hovind. Are you there, Brother Kent?
I am, yes, sir. If you can give it a little more volume on your end, it'd be better, but I can hear you.
All right, let me see. Can we bring that up? Yeah, we just brought that up. All right, yes. Is that better?
Yes, sir. Much better. Go for it.
Okay. Why are you still in jail?
Everybody in the world is wondering that, especially me. Here's the situation for you folks who may not know. I've been an evangelist for 40 years, taught on science and the Bible, and defend the Bible as being correct, and the atheists hate me. I went to prison 8.5 years ago for one of the dumbest laws ever passed by Congress, structuring, and one of the dumbest enforcements of that law against the church ministry. Anyway, so last Monday I was found, they dropped all the charges, completely dropped them, everything. A year and a half ago, I was in prison in Berlin, New Hampshire, and they approved me to go home this February, 3 months ago. And if somebody somewhere along the line dropped the ball and didn't send the final paper to the final person for the final signature, apparently, we don't know, we can't chase down who did it. It's like the Three Stooges all pointing at each other, you know. Nobody wants to take credit. But they are damaging me every day they leave me here now, so they just told one of the guys that's calling around, oh, you got to go to the camp, to the prison camp now in Mississippi and start over with the 6 months.
This is an amazing thing.
I go home in August. I go home in August. Either way, my time's up, you know. I was supposed to serve the last 6 months at home with my family. My kids live next door. They're all married. My 5 grandkids. My wife of 42 years. Supposed to start February 3 months ago. But here I sit in an orange jumpsuit because of somebody's ineptitude. So hopefully they'll lose their job and be flipping hamburgers, or they can't hurt anybody. Okay?
Well, do you think, let me just ask you 2 questions. Do you think if you were to say, because see, I have this article here that talks about the rioters that were in Ferguson and the ones in Baltimore now, they were picketing or protesting down at Acorn's headquarters because they didn't get paid, for, burning the city down. So do you think if maybe you were to say, look, if I get out, I'll go to Cleveland or someplace and I'll riot and I'll break windows and I'll burn the city down and I'll do it all because I'm an angry white man, do you think that might help to let you out?
I probably should not comment on that. I've been here for 400 more years.
All right. Well, here was your big mistake.
Isn't it amazing?
Yeah, we're living in the Antichrist system. Exactly like it says in Isaiah chapter 5, where good is evil, evil is good. Everything is upside down, inside out, backwards. Now, if you had taken and had you withdrawn or deposited over $10,000 every single time you went to the bank from 1992 to 2002, that would have been illegal. So do you think if you would have done that, that there would be any charges against you?
I never have understood. I think the structuring law is stupid on its face, okay? It's none of any government's business what you do with your money, okay? But my wife went to the bank and withdrew money just like our pastor said. He said try to keep it under $10,000 if you can to keep on hand for ministry expenses. That was the same time we were building and starting Dinosaur Adventureland, and we were buying and remodeling several houses in the neighborhood for staff to live in and have for future expansion. And so about every 12 days, she would go withdraw $9,500 and keep it under the 10. Like several times we had to get over 10 for a big project. And so the bank fills out some form called the Crash Transaction Report. The bank has to do the form, not me. And so after we stopped doing that in 2002, and 4 years later, they come arrested both my wife and I with a SWAT team for structuring. I said, what on earth is structuring? He said, well, you took your money out of the bank in amounts less than $10,000. Yeah? Well, you're trying to avoid the reporting requirement that is on to catch drug dealers. Oh, well, I'm not a drug dealer. I've never taken drugs. I don't even take an aspirin. I've never tasted alcohol in my life. I'm 62 years old. What on earth what is wrong with you? Structuring what? It's the church money taken out of a church bank where we banked for 15 years, the same teller most of the time. They knew us. There is no crime here, folks. Then they said, oh, not only do you go to prison for 10 years for structuring, which I just finished, the 8.5 years you have to serve in the federal. I'm done with my 10 years in. Not only do you have to serve 10 years in prison, you got to give all that money that was structured to us, to the government. Like, what did you do to earn it? You didn't do a thing to earn that money. Go get a job if you want some money. Don't come steal ours. But no, the judge agreed, yep, that you got to turn that money over to the government. Well, that money has been spent 5 years ago. What do you mean?
Well, do you think, let me ask you this.
Anyway, then...
Well, if you hadn't been wearing those $700 suits, and if you and your wife hadn't been driving around in your Rolls Royce, and you know how many Learjets do you have? What's her name has 3. I mean, you think that you wouldn't have attracted all that attention had you not been living in such a mansion?
Brother, you can ask anybody ask my kids who've known me all of their life, and they're in their late 30s. If Dad is greedy or if Dad lives expensively. I've never had a new car, never had an airplane or a jet. I have 4 suits, and I wear one every day and rotate them around. I have 2 pairs of shoes and a pair of tennis shoes. My van has 200,000 miles on it. Money is such a low priority with me. I am absolutely, I give everything I can to the Lord's work. I don't copyright my videos. Anybody in the world can copy them and send them out as long as they don't sell them and don't change them. It's the only restriction we have. I don't know anybody else does that. Same with my books. You want to make a copy and give to somebody, do it. Just don't change anything. Because then I get blamed for the changes people do. A couple of atheists were taking my videos and chopping pieces here and there and making me say things I hadn't said. So I said, okay, we're going to copyright them, but you can still copy it if it's unaltered and you don't sell it. But no, brother, I'm building a mansion in heaven. I'm not building one down here. This is, this whole thing is amazing.
Well, I mean, that's why I was being facetious. I was doing that for the point, the fact that, you know, they did this. I was charged 3 times, Brother Hovind, with RICO. 3 times, and of course, all 3 times the judge threw the case out of the court. Because, you know, when you have RICO, that's racketeering. I was charged with RICO for saving babies. The bloody abortion mills try to be... But, you see, when you do this, there's got to be some evidence that I profit and that they're my competition. Well, we've been running them out of business, but believe me, I never made any money saving babies. It always cost me. Just going to court alone cost me, okay? But, I mean, we live in a world that is, like I said, it's going upside down, inside out, and backwards. It's absolutely ludicrous. Now, what is it that we can do? I mean, if we're going to have to turn in more phone calls, should we keep your congressman and senator awake? Of course, they're going home now for the Memorial Day. These people should be doing something to get you out of there.
Well, quite a few people could do something to get me out, okay? One, my case.
This call is from the Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office.
My case is a classic example of the stupidity of the law itself. They should, Congress, repeal the stupid structuring law. Just throw it away, get rid of it, and make it retroactive. Anybody in prison for structuring should be released. Last year, the IRS seized almost 150 bank accounts of innocent people just because they were depositing or withdrawing their own money in amounts less than $10,000. IRS just went and seized the account. Now, they said that they apologized before Congress. First, that's not true. I mean, they may have apologized, but they didn't mean it, because after that apology, they still are seizing accounts, okay? Secondly, they should give all that money back. Saying we apologize is one thing, that we're not going to do it again. I don't want to hear that. I want you to say everything we've ever taken for the last 4,000 years we're going to give back, plus interest. And we're going to say we're sorry, and we're going to pay damages, and we're going to release people out of the prison that they put in prison for that. That would be an apology. Just to say we're sorry, we're not going to do it again is not true, and I don't trust them at all.
You're absolutely right. I couldn't agree with you more. Well, we need to do that. We need to have a campaign. One of the reasons, let me just say this. Here's the actual reason you're in prison. The actual reason you are in prison, I know you don't like to admit it, but when it comes to creation science, you were just...
You have 60 seconds remaining.
Okay, you want to go ahead and call back? If you can,
I'll call right back.
You can go with me the whole program tonight, if you'd like. Go ahead.
No problem. The guys have all agreed to not get mad at me if I hug the phone for this time, so no problem. I'll call right back.
All righty, very good. All right, that's Dr. Kent Hovind, and I got to ask you when he gets back, because he had a problem with a biker gang in there. That's what I heard. I got to ask him about that. This is still our funding night. Here's our pledge week. And while we're waiting for Dr. Hovind to call back, folks, we are almost at the halfway mark. We are almost there. Right now, we're down to 7,700. We need 7,700 by the 1st of June. 7,700 by the 1st of June. What do we have, about a week or so? Something like that, around a week. So there you go. The phone lines are open tonight if you want to call in and pledge. We definitely need to help you. This radio program has been there for people over the years, and we'll be there for you because the day, like Dr. Hovind needs us. Last night, we had Chaplain Klingensmith. We were there for him, got him back reinstated. We were there for him when they court-martialed him the first time. We will be there when you are under Christian persecution. As long as we can stay on the radio. That's why we've been here. And boy, I'm going to tell you, over the years, we've helped a lot of people out. And let me tell you, we're not real popular. We are not real popular with the Antichrist system for helping people out. So that number is 888-677-9673 or locally 216-901-0933. We need 7,700 it's about $1,000 a day between now and the 1st of the month. We're back with Dr. Hovind. Brother Kent, I understand that you had a little bit of a problem with some bikers.
I'm sorry, a little bit of problem with what?
Some bikers. I heard that you had a little problem using...
I don't know if they were bikers. They were white supremacists, the Nazi tattoo and all that stuff. There's one young punk in here who was just an absolute idiot. Everybody hated him. And he thought he'd pick out an old man. I was on the phone, and he wanted to get on, so he just came over, hung up the phone, and grabbed it out of my hand. And a bunch of guys surrounded him and pushed him over to the door and said, no. And he started swinging, and they ended up macing him and hauling him out. So I got a lot of guys come to my Bible study. They all love me, and so they protected me. I really, in 8.5 years, had surprisingly few problems. You get a lot more in county jail, where I'm at now, than you do in the federal prison camps. Are just like going to a college dorm. They're perfectly safe, no problems at all. They should all be closed down. You asked earlier what people can do. Yes, they can be contacting Congress saying, abolish this stupid law. Secondly, Congress should be looking into my case because there are some real serious issues here that the government did wrong. In the history of the United States since 1792, the Congress has only impeached 16 people. That's judges and congressmen and presidents total. All of these people, the judges, for instance, are appointed for life during good behavior, it says in the Constitution. It is not good behavior to change the transcript like somebody changed my trial transcript. It's not good behavior to rule outside the law or to rule when you don't have jurisdiction. That's not my job to judge the judge, but it is Congress's job. Demand that your congressman investigate this case and everything that happened. There's plenty of evidence and smoking guns to say something was seriously wrong with this prosecution. I just would like a complete, thorough investigation, and I would like to go testify before Congress. So that they can do. I know Congress will say, well, we can't get involved in the judicial department. That's a cover story. They can and they should. If there's judicial misconduct, who is supposed to fix it? If a judge shoots everybody that comes into their courtroom, shouldn't somebody be able to do something? I mean, where is the checks and balances here? And I'm telling you, it is with Congress. The ball's in their park. So they should certainly investigate the case. Thirdly, they should cut the budget of the BOP by about 50%. We lock up way too many people for way too long. Fourthly, Congress should pass a law today that says anyone involved in law enforcement or in making the laws, Congress, Senate, judges, police, anybody involved in the law enforcement end should not be allowed to own stock and profit from the prison system. That's common sense 101. This is a huge industrial complex. Just the Bureau of Prisons, the federal system, has 39,000 employees. And there's only 200,000 prisoners in the federal system, 220, I think. County jails and everything else. I wrote a book called The Kennel. It's up on Lulu.com about this. I did it under a false name, Elijah Green, but that's me. This whole system needs to be shut down. In the Bible, I'm not saying don't punish crime. Oh, I'm not saying that. But in the Bible, you get a fine or a beating or executed. You know, if someone rapes your daughter, she does not need to go feed him for the next 20 years and worry about him getting out. She needs to watch him get electrocuted or hung or shot and then go spit on his grave for a few months until she heals up emotionally. It's a no-brainer. So, yes, people should be lobbying Congress. Now, the BOP, apparently the folks in Berlin, New Hampshire, we think, are the ones who dropped the ball. Somebody needs to squeak the wheel against the grease, and the BOP needs to say, look, find out who, the specific name, the name of the man or woman who didn't finish the paperwork. I should have gone home 3 months ago. They are damaging me today. I'm sitting here in an orange jumpsuit. I have every right under the law that Congress passed. They could have given me a full year halfway house before that. I could have gone home in February 2014. But they said in Berlin, New Hampshire, we can't give you the full year halfway house that Congress authorized because our camp is not full. We can hold 128 men and we only have 100. So we need you for body count. That is just pure evil, and people need to understand what happened to me and my family because of their love of money, root of all evil.
Can I read a couple verses from the Bible? Let me do this. The Lord is saying, and this is first of all, I want to thank you for that video that you made asking people to help support this radio ministry. We're having our pledge week, and we for years and years and years have been coming to the aid of people like you. And I've been having a tough time staying out of prison myself because of that. But anyhow, in Psalms 94:16, it says, "Who will rise up for me against the evildoers, or who will stand up for me against the workers of iniquity?" Folks, he's talking to you. The Word of God is talking to you. And then he says this, in verse 20, "Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which framest mischief by law? And they gather themselves together against the soul of the righteous."
From the Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office.
"And they condemn the innocent blood." Well, that's exactly what they've done to you. And that's exactly right, what we have to do. Here's why you're not out of there. And this is what I believe. You're not out of there because just for that reason. They know that you're an activist, and the pen is mightier than the sword. And they're afraid that when Dr. Kent Hovind gets out of prison, he's going to go after this. He's going to go after these people. And you're going to make it tough on a lot of these judges and these people that are frame mischief by law who are profiting, and they're profiting mightily off of other people's suffering and innocent people. A lot of innocent people in prisons here in the United States. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
That's exactly correct. It is frightening. I've contacted so many people in here that just really did nothing wrong. For instance, one of the stupid laws Congress passed was this thing about having to do with gun control, part of the big communist plan for gun control for the world. If you are a felon, if you go to prison for something, you are now a felon for the rest of your life. And if you get near a gun, you can go back to prison. I was walking the track with a guy in Edgefield, South Carolina. I said, "Why are you in prison?" He said, "Well, I was a felon from 10 years earlier. I did something wrong. I forget what it was. Something minor. Enough to go to prison, though." He said, "So I'm considered a felon the rest of my life." He said, "I owned a house in Tennessee." He said, "I live in South Carolina. I had a key to the house on my keychain because I owned the house. I was renting it out. The renter had a gun. I was stopped for a traffic ticket. They found out I'm a felon. They checked, what are all these keys for?" Oh, he told them what the keys are for. And so they went and checked the house in Tennessee that he owned. And because he had a key to his own house that he was renting out, and the house contained a perfectly lawful gun, he got 3 years in prison. Another guy was stopped for a traffic stop. On his keychain, he had an empty bullet that you buy at the 7-Eleven, part of your keychain, just an empty bullet casing. They gave him 3 years in prison for having the bullet on his keychain. It is time for the American people to say, "Congress, we are hiring you to do a job for us. This is not the job you're supposed to be doing. Repeal this stupid law." People are suffering by the tens of thousands for the dumbest thing. I think I've asked over 1,000 men now in my time in prison one simple question. If the Bible talks about fines, beatings, or execution, so I ask them the question, if you were offered by the judge 5 years or 20 lashes, which would you take? Without exception, all of them say 20 lashes. And then I say, okay, second question, which would be cheaper? 20 lashes. Which would be better for your family? 20 lashes, I get to go home. Which would be a better deterrent for you not to do it again? Whoa, 20 lashes. Have we gone stupid in this country? Has everybody gone stupid at once? I'm embarrassed. I've been a Christian 46 years, and I had to come to prison to see the obvious truth that God never authorizes prisons at all. You get a fine, or you get a beating, or you get executed. I worked at the only Supermax prison in America in Florence, Colorado. I was in the kitchen there. And so they have 440 or 50-some men locked up that'll never see daylight. That's cruel, evil. If they did something that bad, they should be executed for everybody's good. Don't give anybody a life sentence.
This call is from the Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office.
Yeah, but how do you expect all these people to look? How do you expect? First of all, you got to realize something. Here in Ohio, you have a parole board. Now, the parole board, they only, are in control of the old law. Here in Ohio, back before about 1990, I think in 94, okay, the inmates that went into prison. So the new inmates that are under the new law, they get flat time. They go in, they get an amount of time, they go in, and they don't do a day more than the time they're sentenced. But now, under the old law, those inmates were sentenced. They're doing 4 times and sometimes 5 times as much time for the same crime as an inmate under the new law. In other words, the inmates that come under the new law, they do a specific crime, they get, say, 6 years. The old law inmates are doing 25, 30 years for the same crime. But what happens, you see, this keeps the parole board, it keeps them in their jobs. They make $70,000 or more a year, and most of them have 3 or 4 government jobs, okay, a lot of them do anyhow nowadays. So you want to take that, just because they have it good, because they have a plush, because they're making money off other people's misery, it's guys like you that don't want to stop. You don't even want innocent people in prison. You'd rather have them out. Right?
Absolutely. Mark, put my name down in large letters. I want the whole thing shut down, and when I become king, I'm shutting it down.
That's what they're afraid of.
I know this is...
Mm-hmm. That's what they're afraid of.
Like Dobie Gillis, but they're going to have to go... They got to go to work. Remember Dobie Gillis? Work.
Yeah.
Yep, got to go to work.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what they're afraid of, is because that when you get out of there, after you go home and spend some time with your family, that you're going to be coming back and say, you know what, I'm changing my focus because it took me, I didn't realize. And you know what, we just had Mike Keenan on here last week. Mike spent 24 years on death row for a crime that he never committed. It took him 24 years before he got they were able to get into the evidence lab and get the evidence. The prosecution hid 21, and then since then we found out a lot more. But any one of the 21 pieces of evidence that were hidden would have set him and Joe both free. So he spent 24 years on death row, and I can tell you this: death row is miserable. It's in a very, very old prison. We have the largest death row ministry in Ohio, and the water that comes out, these guys in their cells, the water that comes out is brown or purple. They can't drink it. They have to use the ice machine to get drinking water. The conditions upstairs, unbelievable bad. I went to visit an inmate one time, and they brought him out, and he was really upset, and here's why. They were bringing him down, one of the many resident bats who fly around in the prison landed on him, and the bat defecated on him. Now, when you come out, you don't have that many clothes, but here he's coming out for a visit, and now he's got bat poop all over him, okay? And, these things happen on a daily thing. Now,
you have 60 seconds remaining.
Not again. You can go ahead and call back if you can, but go ahead and call back. Are you ready to?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Nope.
Yeah, go.
I'm ready. No problem, brother. Guys are helping me out here.
All righty, very good. I'm glad.
All right.
Thanks. Okay. Let's just go to the song. Okay. Flip her in there. We're going to go to the break so that when he gets back, the song's over with here. He'll be calling right back.
Communism is dead, they said. I think they lied. It's truth they hide, for still survives in the good old USA. Hey, right here it lives, and here it breathes, and feeds upon our liberties. And you have the nerve to say it's not that way? Well, they're taking the patriots away, ha-ha. They're taking the patriots away, ho-ho, hee-hee, ha-ha. To the prison camps, where life's unbearable all the time. And I'll be happy to see my patriot friends again as they shackle me in. And they're taking the patriots away, ha-ha. Here come Jack Boo, the thugs in black, to smash your doors and stomp your cat, to roust you out in the late hours of the night. Wrong. At 3 a.m. they scream and shout and scatter your living room about with threats of death they swear as they tear up your rugs. For guns. They're taking the patriots away, ha-ha. They're taking the patriots away, ho-ho, hee-hee, ha-ha. To the prison camps, where life's unbearable all the time. You shouldn't shoot back at those men in black with their ski masks on and their weapons drawn, cause they're taking the patriots away, ha-ha. The twisting thread shall stretch and snap, the straw shall break the camel's back, and tables when they turn shall bring a swift end. Friend, yes, things divine can wrench and bend the well-laid plans of mice and men, and when they do, what will you traitors do then? When? We'll be taking the traitors away, ha-ha. We'll be taking the traitors away, oh, hee-hee, ha-ha. To the prison camps, where hell's been awaiting them all this time. And I'll be happy to see their face in its proper space, filling jail space, as we're taking you traitors away, ha-ha. To the prison camps they've quietly built so recently, and won't they look cute in their prison suit and their shackles on, just shuffling along as we're taking the traitors away, ha-ha. Well, there's jobs for you in that human zoo, and you work all day without any pay, but that's okay, there's nothing to buy in there anyway, and we're taking you traitors away, ha-ha. And won't they do them as they see us come?
All righty, we're taking the traitors away, and we're back with Dr. Kent Hovind. Are you there, Brother Ken?
I am here. Yes, sir, brother.
That song was about innocent people that went to prison who were locked up by the unjust system, and then they turned on the system, and they went and they arrested the traitors and put them in prison. I think that's a good idea. I think a whole bunch of them ought to be in prison for what they've done. What do you think?
Boy, I agree. I could make a list of names a mile long. You know, there's an interesting thing that all the Americans need to understand. If everybody has what's called a jurisdiction, where they have authority. The referees in a basketball game only have authority on that court during a certain time and only over certain people. Their authority does not extend to the people sitting up in the bleachers eating popcorn. The referee cannot come up and say, put that popcorn down. He doesn't have authority. Where exactly is the jurisdiction? At our last trial Monday, which, by the way, we won, all charges dropped on me. 3 charges dropped on Paul Hansen, the church trustee. He still has 2 more stupid ones that he's fighting and probably going to win. But meanwhile, he's sitting here with me. He's my roommate, great man of God. Paul asked the U.S. Attorney, Tiffany Eggers, a very simple question. Does your license operate at this location? Wow, you would have thought he had dropped a hand grenade. See, they only have jurisdiction on federal land. That courthouse is on land owned by a timber company in Tennessee or something like that. They didn't have jurisdiction to do anything they did in this case. They didn't have jurisdiction to come on my land and arrest me 10 years ago. And the courthouse, the last trial was held in 2006, that's also not on government land. Exactly where is their jurisdiction? And exactly who is it over? And exactly what is it about? This is the key to this is pulling back the curtain like the Wizard of Oz, asking the simple question, who are you? This entire federal system, it's like the Matrix, you know, it's like there's nothing but a bunch of ones and zeros. And when you finally realize, whoa, like Neo at the end of the Matrix, whoa, I can stand up and stop these bullets. Now, we haven't stopped them all yet, and they really are fighting hard to maintain this mirage. But who are they exactly? Where is the jurisdiction? I would encourage everybody to look up my case. There's a Lone Star 1776 YouTube channel, Lone Star 1776 with Rudy, that I put up with stuff every day, 4 or 5 new programs, answering Bible questions and stuff. But we cover a lot of this on there, and so does Paul Hansen, the church trustee. The jurisdiction question. Everybody can win their case, or a lot more people can win their case if you get stopped by asking the simple question, who are you? Where's your jurisdiction? Can you provide me evidence? Paul is a genius at that. And so this is the Achilles heel to the whole system. We've got to get Americans trained to know how to stand up for their rights.
Well, you know what? Let me just say, my associate pastor I had, or he was my deacon at the time, but then later was an associate pastor. He spent 10 years on what is called paper terrorism. And basically what he was doing is he would petition the court to show him the law. He would say, I want to see the law. And he kept petitioning the court over because they refused to show him the law. And what happened was...
This call is from the Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office.
They charged him with paper terrorism. They came up with this thing, these judges, that, look, let's make this agreement that if I tell you I'm terrorized by this question and you tell me, then we can call this paper terrorism and we'll put this man in prison. That's what they did. 10 years, him and a lady friend of his spent in prison. Now, the Bible says in Proverbs 28, they that forsake the law praise the wicked, but such as keep the law contend with them. And see, that's what we have to do. See, here's the problem with all of these people out there listening. Everyone out there listening, the vast majority of them who have no idea that this could happen to them. They don't have any idea. I asked Mike Keaton, who was here the other day, I says, Mike, how much time did you spend thinking about innocent people in prison before it happened to you? He said, I never thought. He said, the thought never occurred to me. We've been on this radio program now for over 40 years telling people how many innocent people there are in prison. We've been telling them we have the world's largest prison. Actually, the population of the United States is 4.8%, and now we are now over 26% of the world's prison population here in Ohio. Do you know why that is? Or here in the United States, we have over 70% of the world's lawyers. 7 out of 10 lawyers in the world are here in the United States. What does that tell you?
Wow. Money making racket. 1 Timothy 6:10.
Well, that's exactly right. And you see, this is one of the reasons why they're stalling with you so much, is they know that you now are fired up, you're geared up, and you're about to do something about it if you ever get out. And so, we had a situation with a fellow who they charged, this guy was a little slow, okay? And they charged him with armed bank robbery. And the fellow had nothing to do. They had the entire robbery on film. The entire robbery was on film. The guy that robbed the bank was about 6'2" and weighed about 240 pounds. Phil weighed about 160 pounds, and he was about 5'7", 5'8". And they didn't look anything alike. They knew from the very beginning that Phil did not rob that bank, but he's a little slow, easy target, no money, couldn't defend himself, so they charged him. They told him, look, if you admit to guilty, you'll get 8 years. And they, by the way, folks, you to plea bargain, don't ever expect them to keep the plea. These prosecutors, they lie and they lie and they lie and they lie, okay? And they lie and they can lie all day long. There's no law against a prosecutor lying. But anyhow, and they told him if you plead guilty, you'll get 8 years. If you don't and you get convicted, you'll get 14 years. Anyhow, this would happen. We used that what we came up with, the For Real True Christian Resistance. We had the courtroom observers out, and we kept coming back. His lawyer could not look me in the face. She would stand right in front of me, and she would not look me in the eye because she knew what she was doing was wrong. Anyhow, it took us 5 times to go back, but finally, 3 minutes, and 3 minutes before they acquitted this man and said, well, we know you didn't do it. We have the film. They tried one last time to get him to plead guilty. That is how corrupt the system is, and that's here in Cleveland. That's how corrupt that system is in Cleveland.
Well, I'm in the middle of it, and you are correct, brother. I can verify that. That's why it needs to be a law that none of these people can own stock in the prison system. Shut off the money flow, and this problem will go away. They should be required to fill out a statement before they start. The prosecutor, your own lawyers, the judge, everybody, the police, a statement swearing under penalty of perjury that they do not own any stock in the prison industries, in the food, in the clothing, in the transportation, the utility companies. They don't rent the land. It's surprising how many senators and congressmen own land that they lease out for 100 years to the government. The government then builds some building on there and pays them $20,000 a month rent for the land. It is just pure evil, and that needs to be stopped. Those guys need to be going to jail.
Well, you're absolutely right, and that's why one of the reasons we've got to get you out of there, because now I can see you're fired up, and you know, we need a lot of help. We see the people out there are asleep. The idea, as long as it's not happening to them, it doesn't matter that much. But that's why we've been here on this radio program all of these years. And that's what we do. So much of the time is to help people like you who are innocent, who have been charged with crimes that aren't crimes at all. The system. I've often said this, that when I was a young guy, when I first started getting into the prison ministry many years ago, I was under the impression that the bad guys were in prison, the good guys were putting them there, you know? Boy, have I learned a lesson. I found out that basically what you have today is two groups of criminals, one that are punishing the other. That's basically what you have for the most part. So, I mean, and that's what's happening today. People really need to, you see, if they don't do something, if they don't come to the aid of the innocent, sooner or later it's going to happen to them, isn't it?
Absolutely. You know, the Bible says men love darkness rather than light because their deeds are evil. The thing that has really helped me win this last case was a lot of people like Rudy.
This call is from the Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office.
Shining light and making noise. I chose as a motto for this last persecution, Gideon. There's only 300 men. You can't beat an army of 500,000. So he shined the light and made a lot of noise, and the enemy fought each other. Okay, well, we need courtroom observers to go in and take notes and just keep constantly reporting the truth of what's going on. What drives them nuts that I do radio programs, that I do blogs every day, that there are people all over writing and calling, packing email boxes of the Bureau of Prisons officials. Charles Samuelson Jr., the head of the whole BOP in Washington, D.C., he's getting slammed with phone calls and emails and letters saying, "What are you doing with Hovind? He should have gone home in February. Why is he still sitting in jail? Who dropped the ball?" And nobody wants to admit they're all covering for each other. But somebody seriously dropped the ball. And why didn't Congress make that law about halfway house and home confinement? Why would they give the authority to decide if the inmate gets it to the BOP? They're the very people that want to keep them there for body count, for budget reasons. It all goes back to money. I'm still sitting here in Orange because the warden up in Berlin, New Hampshire didn't have enough people to fill his camp. And he didn't want to release anybody until the camp was full, so he looked good on paper.
Well, you're right.
I could have gone home in February of 2014.
Well, you never should have been there to begin with. I mean, you never should have been. There are so many innocent people, so many structuring. That is one of the dumbest laws that I've ever heard. And right now, we're going to have a fellow on next week. Who's basically, they're doing something similar to him. He gets slam dunk. He's a fellow that owns a chain of pizza shops, and this guy has this landlord, and it tells him, "Look, everybody in this town is on my payroll." I mean, he comes right out and says, "I got the judges, I've got everybody," and we've seen how that.
60 seconds remaining.
We have seen how that has happened so many times. You want to call back? You can go the whole night if the guy's
waiting on the phone. I probably better. No, we better quit for tonight, brother. There's a lot of guys that are waiting on the phone here. I don't want to make anybody angry, but yeah, please keep shining the light, making noise, brother. We will help you any way we can with your outreach. And tell folks go to 2peter3.com. The number 2, the word Peter, and the number 3. That's the website, Keeping Up With Me. It'll link over to freekenthovind.com for now. But Rudy's channel, Lone Star 1776, YouTube, please keep shining the light, brother. You are a blessing.
Well, you are a blessing.
Wait a minute, one of the phones just opened up. Hang on, one phone just opened up. Okay, let me call back one more time for just a minute, okay?
That'll be great. Go right ahead, sure. All right, there you go. Phone is opening up. He's going to be calling back one more time tonight. That's Dr. Kent Hovind. Folks, meanwhile, look, you want us there for you. We will be there. So many of you out there have no idea, but not one, every single person listening to me is one false accusation away from prison. We're living now in the Antichrist system, the end times, and we need to hear from you if you want us there for you. Right now, we're just about at that halfway mark, 7,700. The phone lines are open for you to call in pledges. Call in a pledge. Help us stay on the air. 888-677-9673. Or locally, 216-901-0933. Again, that pledge line is open. 888-677-9673 nationwide. 216-901-0933. We are the voice of the Christian resistance. Do you out there listening, do you deserve the voice of the Christian resistance? I can't tell you how many people have told me, boy, if I had only known, I would have done something to help those that were in prison, those innocent people. Well, you do know, and you know what you can do. All right, we're back. Dr. Hovind is back.
Yes, sir. If we could just go a couple of minutes here, brother. I don't want to make the guys angry at me, but it's such a blessing to be able to share this story.
Well, yeah, we are going to do everything that we can. We're going to keep on this. We're not going to give up. And we'll get the numbers of your senators and your congressmen and your state rep. We gave that out over the air. We know we turned in a ton of phone calls to them. And go ahead.
The only language these guys speak. They don't speak English or French or German. The only language they speak is money. You have to cut their budget or threaten to cut their budget. If the BOP starts getting 10,000 people calling Congress saying, Congress, cut the budget of the Bureau of Prisons by 50%. And I don't mean cut the budget increase by 50%. I mean cut the budget by 50%. They will quickly figure out how to send people home instead of keep people here. I am only here because of budget reasons at the Berlin, New Hampshire camp. They weren't full. They approved me and Congress said you can get 10% of your time or 1 year for halfway house, which is 3 blocks from my house. I could have gone home in February 2014, but they give the BOP the authority to decide if you get that or not. How stupid is that? Make it mandatory.
Well, here's what.
Cut everybody's prison term to 50%. First time nonviolent.
Here's the only problem I have with that, because I've been brought in. Sometimes the inspectors of the prisons here in Ohio, the senators and judges asked me to take them into the prison and show them what they're not supposed to see. And I've done that. And one time we almost had a riot, okay, because you had 40 men in a dorm, 40 men in a dorm, and they had one working toilet, one with 40 men, okay? And so sometimes what happens is when they cut the budget, it goes towards the inmate. It goes towards their food. It goes towards, they actually had a dumpster out that when the inmates that were leaving, they could throw their underwear in that. That way they could save money without getting the inmates new underwear.
Wow. Okay, well, cut prison time to 50%. Better yet, put judges and U.S. attorneys in jail for prosecuting innocent people.
That's an idea. Now, that's a great idea. Maybe we can get a state representative or a congressman to run on that, huh?
Well, this is the only time of year they listen. They get voted for this fall. They're listening for the next 4, 5, 6 months. They won't be listening after that. So now's the time, strike while the iron is hot. We've put out several programs on the YouTube Lone Star 1776 and on freekenthovind.com. There's programs of practical things you can do. How to stop this. This is insane. We've gone nuts. Well, the 1776, the original American Revolution, the British were scared of what they called the Black Regiment. It was the preachers that wore black robes in those days that were stirring their people up to do right and get rid of the British. And it needs to be the pastors and churches and evangelists and leaders getting our people, the whole nation, back to a biblical common sense approach to law and order. We are doing some stupid things in our country, and it's time to sound the alarm from the pulpit.
You know, Chuck Baldwin heads up that organization today, the Black Robe Regiment. I'm one of those Black Robe Regiment, and I know you are too. And yeah, you're absolutely right. We need to do that. We need to take our country back, and we need to do it soon. Well,
amen. Well, the practical steps I see are abolish the structuring law and make it retroactive. Abolish the IRS completely. Just shut them down. Send them all home.
That's what Ted Cruz has been saying. Ted Cruz has said that. That's one of his main things. This is one of the reasons so many of us are behind him, but I think also Rand Paul wants to abolish the IRS.
Completely abolish it. And let everybody out of prison for any tax offenses. We didn't even have an IRS till 100 years ago. America made it fine on import duty, export duty. We need the government. We need taxes. I'm not against those things. And I'm not a tax protester as much as people would like to paint me as one. I obeyed every law. Nobody can show me any law I violated on taxes. I'm not one of them. But that's how they got Jesus. They kept saying, does your master pay taxes? This is what they've used for centuries to get innocent people. Find something to do with the government or the law. They killed Jesus, for heaven's sake. What did he do wrong? If they can't get you any other way, they'll get you with, you're anti-government or you're against taxes. So, yeah, they should, praise God for people like you. Shine the light, make a lot of noise. Maybe somebody will listen. We've got to immediately scale this system back with the long-term goal of shutting it down. I guarantee if I just lined up every prisoner in this room, there's 36 men in here with me.
This call is from the Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office.
You're guilty of your crime, you've got a 4-year sentence left to serve, we'll give you 15 lashes and send you home, or you can serve out your 4 years. And in the Bible, they had to get the lashes in front of the judge. You had to lay down in front of the judge. Read Deuteronomy 20, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the judge had to see what their sentence does to you. Today, the judge gives out a number, 20 years, 15 years, and they don't ever see the grandkids crying at home.
No,
you don't see the lonely, broken-up family.
You're right, but you know, another part of that was called restitution. Restitution. You know, when people were robbed, or if two men got into a fight, and one of them injured the other fellow where he was unable to work, so there was restitution. He would have to help pay for and take care of that man's family. See, restitution is smart. It's intelligent, okay? And what we could do is one of the things we could sure help a whole lot of innocent families, because whenever somebody goes to prison, they're not the only ones that feel it. They're families. We've had time and time again, we've had the family members. I remember one time where they had arrested a husband and wife on drug deals, and they left a bunch of 3 or 4 young little kids at home. And Grandma came to us and she said, I've got 4 grandchildren. I don't have 1 crumb of bread or a glass of milk in the house, and I don't know what to do. We did. We got her all the food that she needed and whatever other assistance we could, because that's what you're supposed to do. But people don't realize that, they leave these people behind and they're hurting. So restitution is one of the main things that we should be looking at too, shouldn't we?
Well, it's right in the Bible. You steal my sheep, you pay back 4 sheep. And everybody goes home. And I'm happy I got 4 new sheep, and your kids are wondering, where's my supper? Well, we were broke, son. I'm a thief, and, you don't go to jail.
Right.
This is dumb. If somebody breaks into your house and robs you, and they go to jail, you already got robbed once, and now they're going to come take your money to feed that guy while he's in jail.
Right.
They're forcing you to feed him and clothe him. Have we gone stupid?
Yeah, and today it's
all because,
if somebody breaks into your house,
because judges are allowed to own stock.
Well, today if somebody breaks in your house and you catch them and you shoot them or something, well, they'll turn around and sue you. You're the one who goes to prison. We have an insane system, and it's because, right now, it's because people out there listening all over this country do nothing. They do nothing. Ignorance. The word ignorance, the root word is ignore. And they just sit there somehow thinking, well, it's not going to happen to me until it does. And then they're crying like babies, why doesn't somebody do something? We're telling you right now, you need to do something right now. You need to do something now before it gets to you. Hey, Kent, the Bible says, the Lord said that those that show mercy receive mercy. And it says to be a doer of the word. And those that will stand up and help somebody else, some innocent people. Someday, when it's their turn, there will be people there for them. And so that's what we're doing here. And we're not going to quit until we get you out of there. And then we're going to work together. There's a whole bunch of us. We're going to work together to try to do, like you said, try to turn that system around.
Oh, amen. Well, thank you, brother. Yeah, the Bureau of Prisons, here's what's going to happen unless they get a lot of pressure. They're going to make me sit here for 3 more months and send me home. And I should have gone home 3 months ago. But they're going to say, oh, we don't have this T crossed or this I dotted, or everybody is pointing fingers. You need to, when you call the BOP or the Congress, find out the name of the man, not the organization. Some person is holding me here. Some person dropped the ball. Who? Why?
Well, when we call the Bureau of Prisons, we call do we call it Florida, or do we call, you're in a federal prison? So we call Washington.
I'm in a county jail, but I'm under the jurisdiction of the Bureau of Prisons in Washington, D.C. Rudy has all that information if you call him or go to the Lone Star 1776 YouTube channel.
Let's see if we can turn in about Let's see if we can turn in about 400 or 500 phone calls to them. Let's see if they can answer that question. What do you think?
I think it'd be great because their current intention is to do nothing to let me sit here. Monday, all charges were dropped. It is now Friday. They're off Monday. They're off all weekend with their family. I am not. I have served 8.5 years for doing nothing wrong. I think that's enough. I should go home. Somebody can push a button someplace and say, let this guy go home. But they won't do it. They're so worried about their stupid policy. And I'm really getting sick of that word policy. How about common sense? Where on earth is that? So once we find the name of the man, the individual who didn't finish their job and get me home, then we file a lawsuit for $3,000 a day. They're damaging me right now. Ever since Monday, I've been damaged. I could have been released if somebody did their job. So we'll sue that person. They will panic and probably lose their job and they'll work at McDonald's where they need to be anyway. So I don't. The Bible says in 1 Timothy 1:8, the law is good.
Brother Hovind, we're running up against it right now. We're going to a hard break, and probably by the time we get back from that break, I want to thank you for being here. And by the time we get back, you'll probably run out of time anyhow. God bless, my friend, and we're going to be here with you. We'll be.
WHKW Cleveland, WHKZ Warren. SRN News is next on The Word. A service
from the throne, and I wanted to give that phone number out again tonight. This is still Pledge Week, and folks, help me get through this because I hate doing this Pledge Week. We really need to raise some funds so we can stay on the air. We're at 7,700, about the halfway mark. We need to get to 15,000 by. We got about a week to do that. Now, I'm going to tell you something that's pathetic. And here's what it is. We at the Tea Party meetings last night, we had just an absolute dynamite meeting. The Tom Z, who was speaking, a tremendous speaker, a fellow who is extremely savvy when it comes to politics, what's happening out there. And we had a little less than we normally have there. We normally have about 60 people, 70 maybe, come out to the Tea Party. Now, when we're talking about things like your freedom, do you understand? Listen to me, pay close attention about your freedom. When we have these meetings and we're discussing your freedom, we have, again, like I said, 60 or 70 people come out. Now, a couple months ago at the Tea Party meeting, we had where we talked about septic systems. Septic systems, because in Ohio here, they want to change the laws and they want to make everybody virtually put in that have septic systems, little miniature sewage treatment plants, which would cost them a lot of money. It would be an increase for people somewhere between